If you are looking for an Azure Solutions Architect, then watch this upcoming screen share video where I was looking for an Azure Solutions Architect for one of our clients. So watch this screen share video, see what kind of keywords I used and how I combined them together.
Association, I think European Medical Association in Amsterdam. We can actually Google it. I never remember these acronyms. So it's one of the EU institutions. So we will be looking for a DevOps solution architect. Yeah. So Azure DevOps solution architect, based on-site in Amsterdam in the Netherlands. This is quite important. These days, people don't want to relocate. So also in our search, we should first focus on people who already are in Amsterdam. And if we don't find anyone in Amsterdam who is willing to hop on an interview, then we can extend the search for other destinations, something close by. Meanwhile, Nicole is asking, we don't have video microphone. No, this is a different setup. So you don't have to worry this time. Your kids can be screaming and shouting and I will not hear this. So this is a webinar that I keep, recording. And then it's also available in the members area for others who may be looking for Azure Solution Architect in a month or in half year. So the search will be pretty much the same even then. So you can still write in chat and I'll answer the questions. You can search with me. That would be super cool if you can. And we will also send a message to a suitable candidate. So I cannot wait for that as well. Okay, so we are looking for someone in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands. This is a 2-year-long project. The salary will be 500 times 20, so roughly 10,000, so quite decent salary. CV, ideally Europass. They don't require any further documents. Like sometimes they require some proof of education or whatnot, but in this case, just a CV is okay. So let's look at the requirements. So someone who has been designing cloud-based solutions. And now what does it really mean? So you guys know by now that there are different cloud providers. So Microsoft Azure is one of them, Google Cloud, Amazon Web Services, IBM Cloud, Oracle Cloud. So there are different cloud providers. And in this case, because the institution is powered by Azure, they need someone who has experience with Azure, right? So someone who has experience designing cloud-based solutions, ideally with Azure. So cloud-based solutions, on Azure, if you just, by the way, go to Azure website, you will see lots of solutions from Azure. Actually, I don't want to see the portal. I just want to go to the homepage of Azure. Which one is it? Here, where we can see different solutions that they offer. So for example, they have solutions for database storage, something for virtual machines, CPU, Docker and Kubernetes management, container management, computing power, you can see. So lots of solutions, and now someone has to design the solution for that specific institution. Maybe they need to launch a new project and they, for example, need to launch 2 databases in different data centers, plus some containers, plus some, some CPU to power web servers. And so someone has to come up with the end solution on Microsoft Azure Cloud. So that will be the defining criterion, actually. The job, yes, it is this one. I'll send you in chat the link. Should be this one. I had it opened in the other window as well. So, so Azure DevOps, as you can see, is the most important thing. So now we can actually take a step back, and as usually, I'll just start writing some of the keywords so we don't forget them. So let's do it quickly. what are the most important keywords? And we will at first brainstorm the keywords that are used in titles. So what people have in their title potentially, because obviously they may have title Azure Solution Architect, as we can see on the job requirement, but the title can also be, for example, Azure Architect, so without the word solution. Architect, or it can just be Solution Architect, or it could be Azure Architect. So different variations, and we will add more as we review a few profiles. This is important because based on this, we can come up with a Boolean search that will include some of these keywords. And then also some keywords will be used in skills or competencies. For example, Azure, of course, also Azure DevOps. Solution Architect. We can have it in quotes, because when it is in quotes, it is one phrase. And what I also like to do is just to open up a few profiles just to explore some additional keywords, because out of the blue, you may not remember what are, for example, the certificates that Microsoft has for the Azure Solution Architect. You can also Google, of course, for example, Azure certification, or you can visit a few profiles and then you will notice it on those profiles. So I think it's something like AZ something, yeah, like AZ 900, for example. So we can look at a few of these certifications, because based on these certifications, we can then find people who are certified Azure DevOps engineers and architects. So for example, Azure AZ 900 will be a great keyword. And what else? And let's browse some more certifications. I'll just try with Azure. Exam 104 probably as well. So Azure Administrator, Infrastructure Solution, AZ400. Let's just try to search the word solution. Let's see what comes up. So quite a lot of certifications. AZ, Azure Developer Advanced, developing solutions, developing and designing, implementing. So quite a lot of certifications now when we look at it, right? So we can list some of them. So what is it? AZ, say 400. It could be AZ 201, AZ 203, AZ 302, AZ 305. What else? DP, designing Azure Data Solution, probably as well. DP 201. Okay, so just a few. I'll write them down and we can then come up with a Boolean that will combine all of them, because we don't, at this point, we don't really care which one the potential candidate has. We will obviously screen those candidates later, but for now, we just want to find people who are certified with Azure. And this way we can actually find people who have some Azure certification. Okay, so that's one. Or of course, we can just go through a few profile, for example, Azure certified. Let's explore a few profiles just with this generic search, whether we find people who may have some other certificate and maybe we will spot something that we haven't considered. Software architect. And I'm just using the free version just to start with, because I know that a lot of you may not have the premium version. So a lot can be achieved with the free version, like we discussed the other day, right, Nicole? So cloud admin, he has some of these, AZ 104, 305, I don't think I have 800 Windows Server Hybrid. So that could be as well, because I saw the hybrid mentioned somewhere as well here. Design cloud-based and both cloud and on-premise. So that's the hybrid cloud. And this certification is actually for exactly this, both on-premise and on cloud. So I should not forget, plus AZ400, just to have a complete list. Or AZ, was it 400? Yes. And instead of plus, I put or. So with this rather longer query, which actually will not work in the free version of LinkedIn, that's one of the limitations of the free LinkedIn version, as the longer query would not work. But in any case, we can look at, for example, the title architect. This is actually quite good. I wouldn't consider it from top of my mind, but definitely the title technical architect is something to consider. Team lead, software architect as well. And that's pretty much it. We can also look at the skills of this professional just to see what else would trigger some bells. Enterprise architect, no. Web services, no, no, no. I'm just looking for some additional clues, some other keywords that we could use. Microsoft Azure, no. Middleware, no. Kubernetes, no. TypeScript, no, no, no. Azure DevOps, we already have. Okay, so I can close this profile and just look at another profile, Cloud Migration and Implementation Senior Analyst. So the word cloud actually would be good to have in the title, whether it is cloud architect or cloud solution engineer, doesn't really matter at this point. In this case, he has the title Cloud Migration Analyst. IT engineer, no. The certifications we can actually see down here in licenses and certifications, 305, 104, Azure Administrator Associate. Do we have this 104? Not even, what? After all of these, 104. Well, there are quite a lot of them. Azure Solutions Architect Expert. Well, it feels like we should not neglect 305. Do we have 305? Yes. That was close. Okay, so that's good. Microsoft Azure in skills. Azure or Microsoft Azure. We don't really need to put Microsoft Azure if we already have the keyword Azure. DevOps, Azure DevOps, we can have it like this. Okay, so now we are elaborating on a few more ideas, skills, competencies, solution architect, or we can have a keyword like solution architecture. And now let's open up a profile of one candidate and we will learn something from this profile as well. By the way, when I say DevOps, it could be also DevSecOps. It's another keyword not to forget about. So it could be DevOps or DevSecOps. I'll write it down. So DevOps, DevOps engineer, Azure. We can have, actually in the title, we can use the free version to have titles such as architect, or even solution architect, or even Azure Solution Architect. That would be quite a good fit, I guess, from at the beginning. So in this step, we just look at the profile, not even in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands, just to see what else could we include in our search. I'm just literally doing the research in the first step. So Cloud Solution Architect, we already considered. Azure Architect, yes. Microsoft Certified, no. Cloud Architect, that's clear, we have covered. certifications, DP 201, designing an Azure data solution. Do we have 201? Yes, we have. Good. Let's look at some skills. It's actually quite cool. We haven't uncovered anything completely new. Azure Virtual Desktop, Terraform, no. Kubernetes, no. ASP.NET, no. That's web development, web. No, nothing new. Azure DevOps. Okay. So nothing new. What about Adrian? Of course, CI/CD. We can include this always when it comes to cloud DevOps. So after my first step with Azure Cloud, I have found modern IT tools. What a relief, the biggest part, IT administrator, switched to DevOps. Of course, Docker, Kubernetes, OpenShift could be good keywords, but they are not specific just to Azure. Docker is used also by software engineers. Kubernetes is used by DevOps engineers as well, but not just Azure. So Amazon has also a Kubernetes containers management tool. So at this point, I think we covered quite a lot of good keywords. Terraform could be another one that's probably DevOps, Azure Cloud, Argo. Actually, I don't really know what is Argo. Kubernetes Helm, no. DevOps engineer, DevOps. Actually, do we have DevOps engineer? No, we don't have the DevOps engineer in the titles. Okay, so we are, looks like slowly exhausting the list of new keywords to add. Certified Storm Shield network, admin, no. Azure fundamentals, certified Azure. That could also be a keyword. Let's say it could be certified Azure. So it could appear with the semicolon. It would be maybe in some other cases, Microsoft certified Azure Advanced or Azure Expert or whatever it could be. So if I just have certified semicolon Azure, then I would cover different variations. And let's look at some more skills. Azure DevOps again, no, nothing new. CI/CD. Okay, nothing else. Okay, so with that, this was the very first step, very important, by the way, because we look at different titles and competencies these potential candidates may have on their profiles. And this is really important because based on this, we can come up with the search strategy. Coming back to the requirement, you know that this is in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands. So the city itself is rather small. We can look at the population is just 800,000 people. So really, how many Azure DevOps senior engineers are there? Probably like, I don't know, 100 maybe, I don't know, maybe like 500, but I wouldn't expect thousands. So we can check, let's do some quick search, say Azure certified, just a very broad search with people in Amsterdam. So just out of curiosity, so we have an idea about the size of the talent pool. Amsterdam. So Azure certified 367. Out of all of these, some of them will be developers, some of them will be already some managers or in leading positions. So yeah, there are probably really only 300 or less, maybe just 100 Azure Solution Architects in Amsterdam. And why is this important? Well, because based on this, we also need to come up with the search strategy. Because if the geographical area is too big, for example, imagine they would be looking for the same Azure Solution Architect, but to work remotely from Europe, from the whole EU. Well, then suddenly you have a population of 200, 300 million people, and a lot more people can be a good fit. So you don't want to go through such a big talent pool. But in this case, when the potential talent pool is rather small, you can start with rather broader search, and then go step by step across different skills or competencies. So let's just imagine, for the sake of the discussion, let's imagine we would have, like in scenario A, we would have a broad area, and scenario B, we would have very narrow geographical area. Yep. What's this sign? So if we have a broad area, then we would need to, for example, target only people per country, and we would take it step by step. So that would be option number one, to, for example, look for people with titles Azure Solution Architect, and then just go through people in Poland. And then in the next step, to go through people in Hungary, and then people in the Czech Republic, and then people in Serbia, etc. Per country. The other would be probably per skill combination, we could say. We could combine, for example, Azure with DevSecOps or Azure with DevOps. So skill combination. So we would have smaller chunks of potential candidates to go through. If we have narrow geographical area, then we rather go through broader search, and we can only have, for example, the title Azure, or we can have skill Azure DevOps as an example. And then let's go through all the people who have the skill Azure DevOps, or all people who have in the title, in the current title even, we could. On LinkedIn, the premium version, we can just go after people who have currently in their title Azure. And then in the second search, we can go after people who currently have somewhere in the skills Azure DevOps. Yeah, so the first search would be based on the title, the second search would be based on skills. And we, of course, combine some of these, either Azure DevSecOps or Azure DevOps. We can look at people who have one of these certificates, CI/CD, Docker, Kubernetes. Probably not, because they are very generic and applicable across different cloud providers. So coming back to the question also, how senior the person should be. I'll not go through all of these expectations, but you can guess it should be someone rather senior, someone with at least like probably 8-10 years of experience, because someone who just started 2-3 years ago would not have all the experience and strong knowledge of the cloud technologies, and experience working with the DevOps, and experience using the agile methodologies. So, I mean, at least I would go after people who have 6, 7, 8 years of experience. And in Amsterdam, so probably even less than 100. But the population is growing, at least we can see on this chart. So there is something positive to it. In 10 years, there will be more Azure DevOps engineers. Okay, so if you guys have any suggestions at this point, how you would start, what would you try, then feel free to write in chat, and I can also comment on it and give you some more ideas. And in the meantime, I'll also open up LinkedIn Recruiter so we can go through the candidates in LinkedIn Recruiter. I need to stop sharing and I'll share the other screen. Which one is it? Safari? This one. Okay, so job titles I'll remove. Okay, and we will start with some of these titles. Now, the question also is, how can we, because the pool is so small, so how can we combine more of these into one search? So we can, for example, look at what is the common word across the board. So it is architect, so Azure Solution Architect or Solution Architect, Azure Architect, technical architect, software architect. So we can just look at this and just take the word architect out, and we can have, say, Azure or solution or technical or software or cloud or DevOps. And suddenly with this one Boolean, we cover 2/3 of all of these. Yeah, we would not cover the cloud migration analyst, or what was it? So we can try it later, but this could be good starting point. So not in Berlin, but rather in Amsterdam. And the job title, current. If there are no people, then we are doomed. So current title, architect. But also these are not necessarily Azure architects, because you don't see the word Azure if, for example, we have solution architects. So we need to also make sure that the word Azure DevOps appears somewhere. So I'll combine this with some of the keywords, because now we have 1,800 people to go through. Some of them are Azure Solution Architects. That's super cool. But some of them may not have experience with Azure and rather may have experience with the other cloud, Google Cloud or Amazon Web Services. So how about we include the keywords Azure DevOps to start with. And from 1,800, we will go to 192. That's okay. That's okay. That's quite good, because I like when it is around 200, 300 people to go through, because if it is only like 25, then the search is too narrow. And when you have 2,500, then you will never get to the end of the list. So I'll never say never, but you know, people get tired at some point. So Azure Architect, and in this case, for example, you don't see the word solution architect, but it's sort of obvious. It goes without saying, because what else it could be if not solution architect? So you know, architect of solutions usually. Solution architect, as a cloud Azure expert, has experience managing all aspects of Azure deployment, DevOps practices. Okay, so this is quite cool profile. About 10 years of experience. Started with cloud already in 2014, so that's decent experience really. And he seems to be in the Netherlands, so not too bad, not too bad. Okay, so this is one of the profiles that I would potentially consider. He is Microsoft certified, so Azure Solution Architect. So that's quite interesting, right? You see the full certification title, Microsoft Certified Azure Solution Architect, but he doesn't have the title. He just has the title Azure Architect. So that's something to also keep in mind when you are coming up with the Boolean search. you don't just have to use the whole title, but rather think about the different combinations and different possibilities, and consider this when coming up with the search. So this is quite cool, good profile, but let's go through a bit more profiles. Cloud Solution Architect, Microsoft Certified, Microsoft Azure and Multi-Cloud, DevOps, Azure, Cloud Solution, Senior Cloud Architect. Quite a good profile, really. Now, when you look at it, you don't even have to go through all of these minor skills, because we see potentially, you know, he was and is a cloud architect. He's been doing it for so many years, 10 years by now, it looks like. So who else, if not him, would have the right experience? Quite a good profile again. Someone from India in the Netherlands, looks like. So let's go through another one. Cloud Solution Architect. I'm a solution architect, broad knowledge, cloud, both hybrid and Azure. Okay. Okay. Solution architecture. Is he certified? I actually like about LinkedIn Recruiter that it highlights all the keywords. That's quite cool. It helps you to go through the profiles quickly. So Microsoft Azure certifications. This one is from Cisco, so that's not of our interest. But what about Microsoft Certified Azure Fundamentals? It's here. And again, it's with the, I wrote it somewhere with the Certified Azure. So it could be Certified Fundamentals, could be Certified Expert, like the person before, Nikolai, in the Netherlands. I'm not sure if he's in Amsterdam. No, he's in Brussels. Okay, did I not put Amsterdam? Let's check another one. Azure Cloud Architect, Netherlands, from India. Quite a lot of people from India moved to the Netherlands, apparently, to work as cloud architects. Cloud. Okay, so this is one strategy. It works quite well. We see a decent pool of 192 people to go after, but it is also because I put the keyword Azure DevOps, which at some point we exhaust, but it does not mean that people who don't have precisely Azure DevOps in keywords, it does not mean that they are not a good fit. So we can now go through some more profiles. For example, people who have Azure, but not necessarily Azure DevOps. Because imagine I go through all of these 192 people and I want to see more profiles. So people who are on top of the Azure DevOps. So let's hit enter. And we will have most likely more people than 192. Exactly, 466. So these people will have the Azure on the profile, but not necessarily Azure DevOps, which is not a problem necessarily, because they can still be certified. And we could add some of these certifications now just to decrease the pool slightly, because it's still 400 people to go through and we don't have that much time, right? So let's try it with all of these certifications. I'm a bit worried because there are so many of them. There are 55 people who seem to have some of these certifications. So let's look at Utkarash Rana, Enterprise Architect Cloud DevOps Lead, Microsoft Certified Administrator. Interesting indeed. Interesting. Well, of course, we would need to look at some of the other requirements for the position. So it's not just about DevOps and solution architecture. We would need to look at experience with some of the other tools. Is it this position? Yeah. For example, what was it? The experience working with hybrid clouds. But the thing is, these people may not have written on their profiles that I was working with hybrid clouds. That's just such a minor thing to mention on the profile. So I would rather just reach out to these people and ask them like, hey, do you have experience with a hybrid cloud, both on-premise and in the cloud? And a lot of these bullet points are quite vague. You cannot really find the information on LinkedIn. So that's why I'm just sort of skipping it. And also because the geographic area is so little, so we can go and message those 200 people right away. It's not such a big deal. Of course, if we were looking for people to work remotely from Europe, then we would have to adjust the strategy a bit and probably include some more of the competencies, maybe the SharePoint, Microsoft Dynamics, probably. So, but at this point, we don't have to because it's just a few hundred people in Amsterdam. Cool. So that's fine. Now we can message one of these people, and the question is, what do we send them? I would choose one person who is potentially the best fit, and since this is a contract job, I would not approach people who are sort of obviously from India because they may need a visa in the European Union. And since this is a contract job, they would not be able to get the sponsorship from a company. So essentially, this is for freelancers in Europe, and freelancers can be people who already are established in Europe and have some work permit or some kind of residency. So I would probably go with Benito. Was it the local guy? Looks like, or there was one more. No, Sudharan, no. Zeshan, no. Looks like he's from India as well. So let's go with Benito. Interesting that so many people come from India to the Netherlands. There must be a decent talent shortage. And Benito sounds like an Italian name, so we can also check where he studied. Amsterdam. Yeah, so he seems to be living in Amsterdam and even studied 30 years ago in Amsterdam. So who else would live in Amsterdam if not him, right? Native citizen. So let's go with him. And now the question is, and this is always the hardest, to identify how to properly sell this opportunity to someone like Benito, who has a good job. He's been in this company for 2 years. It's the ideal time to shift to something else. He will probably be open to a new challenge, maybe a little tired from his current job. So he could be open to a new opportunity, especially when we present it in some compelling way. So you guys can also help me out a bit. And I just now noticed the messages that you guys posted. So before I compose the message, I'll just go through the chat quickly. So you would add to the title software architect. I'm not sure about the software architect, because software architects are usually, for example, Java architects, but software architects design software solutions. So with software, we are referring to the code and the architecture of the code. But in this case, the EU institution is not looking for someone to design the code, but rather the solution based on Azure Cloud. So the software architect somehow doesn't fit. What would fit is, for example, cloud architect, which I don't even have here now when I say it. For example, like cloud architect or cloud engineer or something like this. Yeah, so something like this would make more sense, I would say. And Colin is asking on-site relocation. Relocation is, of course, possible. That is the option. They don't support with visa. This is a contract job. So if someone relocates, for example, from Italy to Amsterdam and is willing to cover the costs, then why not? On the other hand, I mean, it's not such a big deal, right? Like, what do you really need? Someone who probably doesn't have family, you know, that will be easier, or someone who has already grown up kids with 15-20 years of experience, like Benito, by the way. You see that he has already been working since 85, so he must have already old kids by now. So for him, it could be easier to relocate compared to someone who has little kids who go to school. That will be quite cumbersome. And plus, on the other side, if someone earns 10,000 per month, then you know they can pay for the flight tickets, right? A few €100. So relocation is possible. It's not supported, but of course it is possible. And since it is for essentially European citizens who have already the freelance self-employment setup, anyone can be a fit and relocate and just change the location. Nicole is asking if you would message 200 people if they are fit. Yeah, of course. Eva, actually, I recorded a podcast just recently. Where was it? Tech Recruitment blog with Eva, who was talking about messaging 200 candidates per day every day. So she focuses on engaging with candidates, someone else sources, and then she engages with candidates. So check out this video if you haven't yet. It's quite cool. Eva talks about her experience. She has multiple profiles because you also run out of LinkedIn invites. So she has 4 different profiles and changes those profiles per position. So she's going all in. So 200, I mean, for Eva to send 200 invites, it's like before lunchtime. And then she sends another 200 from another profile. No jokes, like really listen to the podcast. And Sekule wrote, while working on web hosting position, you found many profiles without anything in the title or skills written, but when you analyze the profiles, they are system administrators with experience with web hosting companies. Now that's interesting, really. Yeah. Sometimes you need to go deeper. Obviously, this is just the beginning of it. When you start with some rather obvious strategy, for example, the architect, Azure, right? You start with the most obvious at first, but you also relatively quickly exhaust this search because you will run out of those 200 candidates after half a day or 1 day. So then you need to expand the search. And that's what we've been also discussing on Tuesday with some of you. So we were discussing how to step-by-step approach different groups of potential candidates, where at first you start with what is most obvious, and then at some point you are just guessing. You are looking at a title software engineer, and you are guessing, is he a Java engineer or Python engineer? Previously, he used Java, so it looks like he could be, you know, so definitely a good food for thought. Thanks for sharing, Sekula. So anyway, coming back to Benito, so what do we write him? He works for some consulting company, self-employed, so ideal fit for us indeed. And he's been working on different solution architect positions. And this is the hardest part, to come up with a template that you will reuse from one candidate to the other. So let's start with something friendly. Hi, Benito. You something. This is the hardest one. So how to I like to connect personally with these people, just based on something they shared on the profile, based on some previous experience or hobbies if they mention, or something that would indicate that I actually reviewed the profile. Amsterdam University, we could say like, hey, you are really experienced. You've been doing it for 30 years, but then it looks like, he's old. So I'll not do that part. But we could mention that he has, what was it, Azure certificate? Does he have, no, Microsoft, no. Designing Microsoft Azure Infrastructure Solutions. Wow, this is quite cool. Hi, Benito. You are one of the few people with Azure 305 certificate in Amsterdam. I don't know, that sounds a bit awkward, no? How do you guys open the message? Something personal. He's a lifelong learner. That's a nice one. You seem to be a lifelong learner. Yeah, Karuna, same thoughts, exactly. Awesome. You seem to be a lifelong learner. Not guessing, but yeah, I'm reading it. But especially after, I'd like to make the bridge from the lifelong learner, the certificate he has, and then the opportunity I have for him. So you seem to be a lifelong learner, not just because you wrote it in the summary, but also the certifications you took. The AZ 305. I especially noticed the AZ 305 because I'm working with a team at EME, is European Medicine Agency. EMA, right? Is it EMA? Should be EMA. Where was it? In the other window. EMA. Yes, it's EMA. At EMA in Amsterdam, that is looking for an expert. I need to massage his ego a bit because he is someone with 20 plus years of experience. So we are looking for an expert. He's looking for an expert in Azure cloud architecture. They are, and now what do they actually do? Let's remind ourselves. They are integrating new solutions across multiple platforms. They are integrating new solutions. You can always use this sentence, by the way, because in larger companies, they're always integrating something across different platforms. So this is one of the phrases that you can use anytime, anywhere. So they're integrating new solutions across multiple platforms and would like to onboard someone to help them manage Azure DevOps. This position is on site in Amsterdam, and the rate is about 490 euros per day. I will upfront say the rate because he's senior. There is no way he would not have an idea. So let's just state it upfront. And it can be a 2-year contract. Is it 2 years? Let's just double check quickly. 1 year with extensions up to 3 years. Okay, and it is a 1-year contract, extension up to 3 years. Okay, and meanwhile, Karuna wrote, you seem to be a great learner. I visited your profile and saw that you are one of the few certified, that actually sounds good, yeah, that you are one of the few certified 305 holders. That sounds really good. I'm working with a team at EMEA that and we are looking for an expert for Azure Cloud Architect. Awesome, awesome. I really like this. Okay, let me paste it to this sentence. Cool. You're one of the few certified holders. I'm working with a team at EMEA and in Amsterdam, and we are looking, yeah, that's good. And we are looking for an expert in Azure Cloud Architecture. Awesome, awesome. Yeah, thanks. Thanks for contributing. The collaboration is always more productive than when I'm trying to figure it out by myself. And I'm not a native speaker, so just trying to make it up somehow. So good. And the subject, I like to start with something that is not very straightforward intentionally, because it should trigger some curiosity. Like he should not see there a new job opportunity in Amsterdam that's just so boring, but rather something like Azure at EMEA, or something like Azure to the next level, or something that he would look at and is like, oh my God, like I know something about it. I know what this could be, but I really want to read the message. So Azure DevOps to the next level, like whatever does it mean, or Azure DevOps for a new solution. Azure DevOps for a new solution, like intentionally shortened so that he doesn't really know what does it mean. And let's not forget about strong call to action. Please let me know if you'd like to discuss or to see details, and I'll send you a brief. And he's a senior person, so there is no need to beat around the bush. I will send him more info. We will hop on a call. He knows it already. He knows how it works. He's self-employed. He's been in the business for a long time. So I would rather be very straightforward. That's why I'm stating the salary also. Usually I don't do it, but in this case, I would definitely. Please let me know if you'd like to see details, to see the job details, and I'll send you a brief and we can hop on a quick call. Okay, what do you guys think? Good to go? Sounds okay. Sounds okay. So this is the title. This is the text in chat. And I'm sending it over to Benito. And here are all the other titles that you guys can consider if you have access to our platform and you would like to submit some potential candidates. The deadline sort of unfortunately is in a few days. These positions usually come and go quite quickly. So the deadline is, gosh, I don't recall, like probably like beginning of February or so. Where you can access this, you can go to the platform recruitinstantly.com. I'll send you a link. Just create a new account and we can take it from there. So skills, competencies I sent you, and also the initial search. So this was the search number 1, and the search number 2 was slightly different. I included the certifications. Let me just copy it all. So I put Azure and all the certifications, but not Azure DevOps, because we already had Azure DevOps in the previous search. So the first search landed 129 or 49 or 79, I don't recall, but like up to 200 people. And the second search, 55 probably, roughly. Yeah, so we have nice pool to go through. And then of course we can try different combinations. The search number 3, we could probably remove the title completely and we just keep keywords. Yeah, so that's actually really good about the platform Recruit Instantly, where you can eventually also organize the search, and you can then use, where was it? 137, this one. So here you can then add the search, what location, for example, Amsterdam, the skills. Where was it? I can just copy it quickly. So the search 1 would be, this is in the title. This would be in keywords. Location is Amsterdam. Years of experience we don't have, skills we don't have, and results were 179. And then we add the search combination, and then we can add a few profiles that we found, some interesting guys, and then we can move on to another search. And the second search would be the architect in the title, and Azure in keywords. Location is the same, skills, years of experience, and results 55. Yeah, so this way we can organize the search and see how many people we found for each search. And this is also a great way to give feedback to each other within the team or to you guys who are enrolled in the masterclass. So this is what we will do. And once you input some candidates, then we will also be able to review them. And yeah, anyway, so that's a great workflow. So, but anyway, let's wrap it up now.
If you'd like to learn more about how to start recruiting IT candidates for international clients, how to get into the IT industry, and how to start working for international clients 100% remotely, then join the Tech Recruitment Academy. We've been helping people just like you to get into the IT industry, become confident recruiters, and make more money in this IT recruiting industry. So join the Tech Recruitment Academy, and I hope to see you inside some of our live training sessions.